What's going on, y'all? It's Greg with Greg Said It on another wonderful winter day. Nice and rainy out here in good old Atlanta, Georgia. And it's one day after the national championship. You guys, the national championship officially signals the end of college football for this season. Congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines. Who would have thought? Who saw that coming other than some true Michigan fans? I mean, Michigan is one of those teams who have been flying consistent really since last year. They TCU snuck them and kind of blindsided them last year, but they probably would have been in the national championship last year too. And I don't know whether they'd have played any better. I don't know. But that team has been consistent. They went all the way through this year undefeated. I think they had their challenges. Their coach had issues with their team. They had to play without their coach at least a couple games. And they maintained. And that's a solid team. You didn't really see a lot of penalties. You didn't see a lot of missed assignments. The offensive line blocked well. That defensive line was treacherous, with just a few guys. They looked like old Alabama, and even when Clemson had their heyday. That was a strong-looking team from beginning to end. You can't say that. You can't say nothing about them, And I can say the same thing about, for the most part, about Washington. I don't know if I can fully say that maybe they was missing a few pieces. If it were, it was in the trenches, I would say. But they've been solid all year. They've been, I can't say dominant, but consistent. And they don't make a lot of errors. They don't give up a lot of sacks on their quarterback. And their defense, been pretty solid. But maybe they was missing a couple guys, maybe, clearly. The game was pretty close outside that last interception towards the end of the game. And they couldn't really pull it together against Michigan. And just watching them, Michigan definitely did a good job about planning for that game and the personnel. And I'm going to get into that because this is really about what could we learn from them? What could Colorado learn from Washington versus Michigan? Or really, at this point, what do you learn from Michigan? Like, Michigan really showed who's the dominant force yesterday. But just watching them go back and forth, I noticed some things. And I would say with some similarities. The way Michigan played, it almost looked like you saw a different side of Penix. He looked almost like Shedeur in some games. You saw him with pressure on him. But he really wasn't like Shedeur because Shedeur under pressure doesn't equal like crazy throws for the most part. Interceptions and things like that, unless he's really trying to force something. And maybe that was the case with Penix. He was throwing off his back foot. He wasn't as accurate. I mean, his feet wasn't set. And most quarterbacks who are not used to playing like that, that wasn't his style. Now, Shedeur seemed to me to master, the ability to be accurate by dancing around and running for your life and still maintain accuracy. Remember, Shedeur was a top completion percentage. He was top passing yards, top touchdowns while running for his life the whole time. He wasn't doing it in a span of time where he just sat in the pocket. I think the most time he had in the pocket was against TCU, which was the first game. And he still got sacked a bunch of times. So it's not like, he built his stats on some, cupcake games, or he built his stats on some, stretch of time where the line slowly deteriorated. But when they were on their high, he was on his high. He literally built it in games like Penix played yesterday. Big comebacks. So that really shows a lot about Shedeur as a quarterback. It really do. I remember people used to make the comment that, Shedeur is a true first pick or, first couple pick type of guy because he shows how he would play in the worst situation. We seen Penix, and not in the worst situation, but in a challenging situation, and he didn't look like himself. But Shedeur has found a way to look good in running for his life, getting sacked 7-8 times in the game, and still making big comebacks against big teams. So we're really waiting for that day to see what Shedeur will look like with time, or with the people blocking for him. We can imagine what that's going to look like. And I think that's what everybody's so excited about watching Colorado. And that's what everybody hoping to see. We want to see them at their best, not scrapping and scrambling for, you know, talent and trying to put together a team against teams who are solid and, you know, who's been put together and been playing together and just a solid team. It's not fair, but I will say this: if we can learn anything, I like the way they use their weapons. You know, I've done videos about Colorado using their weapons. And it was so effortless and flawless. You almost didn't notice. It wasn't rigid. Like, if this guy came out, okay, let's experiment with this guy. It was just fluent. Like, I watched Michigan use 3 running backs fluently, and they all just looked like you wouldn't have knew the difference. Who was the starter? You know, number 2, number 7. I mean, they used like 3. And it was just so fluent, and they all ate, and they all did well, and it wasn't like a first guy, second guy. It wasn't that comparison because they all held their own. And it's like Colorado could have done that, really. I mean, not to the exact same sense. They didn't have the line. We understand that. But I'm saying, like, rotation-wise, it don't have to be as rigid. When you can bring guys in, you got the packages for them. You had the situations for them where they're going to operate their best. And just rotate them. Not per quarter, not per series, but rotate them as needed. So that's what, I mean, that's what it looks like, what they really perfected that in their run game. Yeah, they had a good line, but they really used their running backs well. Imagine if Colorado found out a way to use McCaskill in the right way, in the right time, and then throw Wilkinson down there without it being, okay, oh, he's going to do this series, he's going to do that series, I'm mad at him, I'm pull him out because he missed the block. Like, it just using them in the best way at the best time. Imagine that. It wouldn't be no who's the first guy, second guy, because you're using all them guys depending on who you're playing and what situation you're in. And it's like you using them. Nobody really looking at who's getting the most playing time, who's better than the other, because you using them. Then you pull Dylan in and he swing out down the flats. And he you know, you throw a screen and it's like, it's just fluent. And it's like they use all them guys in one series. And it wasn't because somebody messed up. It's just you using your weapons. That's what I want to see. And they definitely have to do that with all them receivers. People like, oh, they just got another receiver from FIU, Weber. And it's like, wow, if any room is stacked up. So it can work because we've seen, you know, nobody have the kind of weapons, you know, just the depth. I've seen that receiver. Even last year, to me, the talent, they didn't even really use it all. Just use them for different things, and that will keep people happy. You know, when people run a deep route, put somebody else in just as good as them and let them rest. Don't let them go half butt the next route or 2. Rotate them in. You got so many weapons. Why sit up there with a half exhausted receiver? Or you got a Travis Hunter who just played both sides of the ball. He holding, he barely breathing. I know you want to do up tempo, but they slowing you up. The referee holding the ball. You know, they laying down on the field. Throw another guy in there. You have it. You can't say it. You got Shepard. You got Timmons. You got all these guys coming in. You got, try to call them Baby T.O. But Baby T.O., you got, you know, who else we have coming in? We got all the guys from last year. You got the Millers. You got the Horns. You got Dawson's. You have, of course, you got Travis Hunter. You have so many talented guys, even guys who didn't really play. Page. You have, I don't even want to forget names. So many guys that really, really can come off the bench and play well. Why not rotate them? That's what I got from the game. And keep everybody fresh and hungry. They come in, they hungry. They come in, they fresh, and they got to pay attention. And they ain't got time to be worried about who did what, because your opportunity can come at any time because we got this rotation in, and the rotation could be more fitting and more suitable based on who you play. Because every team got different strengths, different weaknesses, different personnel, you know, and it's like you can use them differently. So it's not like it's going to be the same from week to week. That's what plan to come in. That's why you have all these analysts. That's why you have all these assistant coaches. That's what it should look like. And I think Washington and Michigan did a good job of just looking really fluent in their use of their weapons. And like I said, it wasn't a lot of penalties. Except towards the end, with that good old Pac-12 lineman, number 73, he just kept holding and doing all kinds of stuff. Maybe he was tired, But, you know, that's who got the worst end of the stick. They started getting no penalties at the end. Washington. Michigan really wasn't getting penalties. Maybe they should have got a couple pass interference, maybe. But it just wasn't a lot of bonehead things like jumping off sides, false start, you know, that kind of stuff. Wasn't a lot of personal fouls. Very clean game. And we can learn a lot from that. But I think ultimate end of the day, if I can say what happened to Washington, them trenches, them boys, that defensive line in Michigan, maybe they got them from the SEC. They sending 3 guys, man, and an edge rusher, and they wreaking havoc. They got 5 linemen on 3, and they couldn't block them. They swimming and spinning and swimming and spinning, and they couldn't do nothing with them guys. Them guys looked elite. If they weren't elite before, they was elite yesterday. I don't know how many guys going to the draft. I don't know how many coming back next year, but that was the difference. They D-line was vicious, man. They looked like Clemson when they were winning the championship. They looked like Alabama and Georgia. They looked like a team who deserved to be in the national championship. That D-line looked like it. Their offensive line looked like grown men. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew their job, and they did it. They deserved to win. Can't say nothing about it. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't, oh, you good luck. You lucky the other people won there. They actually, them 2 teams deserve to be there. I can say they did a good job. Now, when this thing spread out, hopefully it'll be even better when they add these 12 teams. It's going to be really interesting. But I say hopefully, you know, this thing continued to work out. The ranking system worked out. I think those were the 2 better teams, especially from what they proved. Nobody saw them making it to the national championship at the semifinals. So, hey, them trenches are real. Colorado, you see what you have to look like. That front line almost got to look like they're clones, like they all one. They shouldn't be all doing a separate thing. Hopefully y'all get in unison, because the Michigan line played so well. It's almost like nobody stood out as an individual to me. No number. I can't call no number like I can call 73 on Washington. They played so well together, so united. That would be the goal. If y'all can do that for Shedeur, it's not too many teams gonna be able to beat them. The defense just do half decent. And Shedeur got a line blocking for him with those receiver weapons, and they run the ball. You just can't say they not gonna win 10 games at the minimum. I really don't. Big 12, wherever you want to put it, they should win. Their talent is loaded. They just got to know how to use it. They just got to know how to use the weapons. And that's what I see. But them trenches is what happened. And we did the work on the trenches. So we got to see what it's going to look like. That D-line, you see what you got to do to make it to the big game. You got to be reckless. And I ain't talking about put 5 on the line. You got to have a few guys so you can put the rest of them back in coverage and help out with other things, in the flats and the secondary. You shouldn't have to take the whole house to get to that quarterback. If we can do that with them linemen, Barnes and all these guys, these guys have some interesting names this year. They're African or whatever, from Houston and from Pitt. Them guys can do that. Y'all going to be looking out for Colorado in the playoff next year. And that's Greg who said it. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification. We're going to be back at it. Greg said it. Talk to y'all soon. Y'all have a good one.